Hi, I'm Shimelle and I have a brand new collection. My last video was all about going through all the different pieces in it, and this time I'm actually going to scrapbook with it. It's called Main Character Energy and it's released from American Crafts, and today we're going to look at these bits and pieces from this collection. So I'm starting with two of the papers, this rainbow ledger called Read Through and this multicolored stripe called After Hours. I also have the My Story phrase thickers and the 6x12 cardstock stickers starting all of this, and one photo, black and white photo that I'm going to use today. But in addition to these bits and pieces, I've also got my Main Character Energy stamps over here in case those will be helpful. I also have a little something from the archives. So if I fan out these papers, there's at least one paper here from every collection that I have made with American Crafts. So Main Character Energy is my 13th collection. Between 2014 and 2020, I designed 12 different collections with American Crafts, and then there was a break, and then I brought out Main Character Energy this year. So there's a little something from everything here. So this is the very first collection I ever did with them, which was called just Shimelle. And then the second collection was called True Stories. Then I did a Christmas collection called Christmas Magic. And even though it's Christmassy, I've got some wood grain and some other things in there that I could use throughout the year. Starshine, and I've pulled a cut apart from that collection. Go Now Go, which was a travel collection, and both of these are from that. This is my Cubert paper. It was from the Little by Little collection, B-side. Glitter Girl, I'm going to use this a wood grain piece right here. Box of Crayons, which has another ledger. This is from Head in the Clouds, but I want to use this black and white camera print B-side. Sparkle City, again pulled a cut apart. These two are both from Field Trip, and this one was from Never Grow Up, which was the last collection before the big break. So a bunch of these were chosen by he who is in the photo, and so I've got the job of trying to pull them all together and make one page using 13 different collections. So everything has to appear a little bit. I can't entirely hide it. That doesn't count. Those are not the rules. The rules are that there has to be a little something from all 13 collections. Can that be a single feather from this paper? Yes, that counts as long as you can see the feather. It can be one little strip of this film paper, but it has to be visible. Those are the rules. Okay? Right. So let's make a plan and see what we can do. Hi, I'm Shimelle. I teach online scrapbooking classes, design scrapbooking products, and help you use them to tell your stories in a creative way. It's not just my hobby, it is my job, and that means anytime I scrapbook on the internet, it's considered advertising, and legally I need to make sure you're aware of that. Thank you for watching my hashtag advertising. I appreciate you, whether you are chatty or not, whether you watch something that's recent, something that I've posted years ago, I don't mind. And you can find lots of links to things that might be useful, like where you can buy Main Character Energy in stores. You'll find links to all of those things in the description box below this video. Thanks so much. Let's get scrapping. Let's start by making a little plan. Come here, sketch hog. Let's have a look. So I'm going to use that rainbow ledger paper as my 12 by 12 background, and everything else is going to get piled on top of that. The photo is going to end up over here on the right-hand side, about a third of the way in. Not quite to the center, so sort of in the bottom half of the page. And then there's going to be some pattern appearing over here on this edge, probably torn, but wouldn't need to necessarily be torn. You could also do straight lines. So some patterns over there to the left. Then there's going to be a lot of stacking things up behind the photo so that this is going to create lots and lots of depth to the point where the photo is lifted up as the top of the stack of stuff. Then I want this to end up connected to this somehow, but I still want a fair amount of this ledger paper to show. So how do I do that? Well, one of the things I need to include is my journaling space, and I don't need a separate journaling card because my background is ledger. So wherever my layers stop at the left-hand edge of the photo, my journaling is going to be on the ledger background paper right up to that edge. So I need to make sure that I'm happy with all of my layering here before I start writing this in. Then I could put my title up at the top, but I have a feeling it's going to fit better at the bottom and use this space here. And what I want to do is bring it not all the way over so that it's overlapping this, but enough that it feels connected. So the title is here across the bottom. So there's going to be a lot of open space up here at the top, and I'm using a patterned background, so it's not actually going to just be plain solid cardstock or anything. So it's okay to leave quite a space, even if it is solid white cardstock. If you want to work on a plain background instead of a ledger, that works too. And breathing room is important when you have lots of other things layered up with lots and lots of bits and pieces. So what I've not put on here are actual embellishment pieces. There will certainly be some confetti elements, which are tiny little embellishments like enamel dots or small stickers, and they'll go in a diagonal line from the top left coming up to the photo, coming down from the top left of the paper to the top left of the photo, and then continuing after the photo from the bottom right corner of the photo to the bottom right corner of the page. So as if I took a diagonal line through the photo and then continued it out to the edges of the paper. But in terms of large embellishments, in this particular sketch, I'm not going to make them be separate elements because the embellishments are going to be the things that are tucked in here. So some of them will just be bits of paper that are tucked in. Some of them may be actual shapes. So I'm not particularly planning on this one, but to use an example, I could use this shape here of the wow kind of comic book star and tuck it in here, but I'm not drawing that into the sketch because then that gives me the freedom to figure out what elements I want to add as I go and what placement they should have in those layers. Sometimes it helps me to have a lot more detailed plan to the layers to figure out what embellishments I'm going to use, but usually that means that I know exactly which things. So maybe I have 3 stickers that I know I'm going to use with a particular photo. Then I would kind of want to plot out where those 3 stickers are going on the page. But in this case, I am not already planning on a single piece of this or this, as you know, I haven't got an individual piece picked out yet. So if I just draw it as different layers, then I can be a little more free to choose what I want as I go. And that is going to be useful when I'm trying to work in an additional 12 papers. So let's start with this paper background. The 12 by 12 ledger is, the ledger is going to stay 12 by 12. I'm just going to take this branding strip off. It is a turquoise one that says, "Believe in kindness." I tend to put the branding strips at the top of my desk or at the side of my desk, somewhere where they are face up so that I can see them. And then I'm way more inclined to use them because they're staring at me. So I've got lightning bolts and I've got "Believe in kindness." Now, this one's going to stay complete as it is, but this one is going to be torn. Now, I want the white edge to show, so I'm tearing this little strip away, which I'll likely use somewhere else like this. But for now, that can go there. It ended up with a little bit wider strip here than I want, so I'm just going to tidy that up. And then come back and cut that to be a nice straight edge there. So this is going to go over here. But what else is going to go with it over here? Let's have a look at the different papers that could go over here. Now, I don't want another white-based paper because the white-based paper is going to be next to this, unless a white-based pattern that I choose goes in between 2 non-white background papers. So I could have this one and another white pattern in between those, but I don't want something like this, where I have this next to that, and you can tell that these 2 whites are not exactly the same white. That's not what I'm going for. So I think the feathers work well here. And I really want to have some yellow. So I think those are probably my best bet. So like if I wanted to put the cameras in here, I could do that there. Is 4 too many? I don't think 4 is too many. Let's do all of those. Now, I can even tear them all together. I could have torn all of them together, but I've already done the stripe one. Take these branding strips off as I go. So this is the Head in the Clouds camera. That has hearts there. The yellow from Go Now Go, which has taxis on the other side. Feathers from Never Grow Up, which is a blue diagonal stripe on the other side. Purple branding strip. So, is 3 too many? Yeah, 2 works though. So when you're pulling toward you with the right side, your left hand holding the paper is going to have the white edge left. So it's the side that you are holding down to the desk is not going to get the white edge. So if you're left-handed and you're tearing this way, the one that's sitting here, not the one that's pulling toward you, is going to have that white tear to it. Yep. Oh, this one is going against the grain. So this happens sometimes. Do you see how every little, and then where can I contrast this against this wood grain? See how every single one wants to make like a wave shape? It's because I am tearing against the grain of the paper. There's one direction, this way or this way, that each paper is going to tear more easily. If you have to tear against the grain, like I'm doing here, it's okay. So you can either just go very slowly to control it. You can repair it by coming back here and take the bottom of the section that is pointy and pull it behind. And that will get rid of your pointy feathers. The other things you can do, you could tear it by folding it first and having a crease, and then it's going to tear in a straight line since it'll follow what you have folded. You can even, some people prefer to use a paintbrush and get the line that you want to tear to get it wet, and then tear along that line. So now I'm happy with everything except this bit. So I'm just going to redo the top here and bring it down to that. That's fine there. So now, even though that was against the grain, it's smoother. I want to make sure that my white pattern goes between some colorful pieces. I think I want the feathers to be at the back. So let's do this order here. And because these two are identical now and I've put them together, it's a little too obvious to me. So I'm just going to, I'm actually not going to retear the yellow. I'm going to retear the feathers. I'm not going to do entirely. I'm just going to come up to the top. So I should have just torn them individually to start with. But hey, it's no harm done. There we go. And I'll do it like that. Okay, so then these 3 that are still on almost full sheet need to be trimmed and stick it all together. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then each pattern is going to be stuck on top of this one to overlap. So the one the furthest to the left-hand edge is going to be the one on the top of the stack. Yeah. Don't really need to worry too much about how wide the strips are, as long as they're wide enough to see the pattern. because anything that comes off the left-hand edge of the page, we can tidy up. So this set of pieces is going to go over here. Line that up with left-hand edge so that I don't have any ledger showing on this side. Well, let's try again, being uncoordinated. There we go. There we go. So background with the torn strips started over here, and now time to build this over here. And I know that I've used these patterns, but I still have all of these. So I've got my photo that's going to go over here. And the first thing I want to find are the cut aparts that I want to include, because sometimes I have great intentions when I pull out cut aparts and then I don't really realize how much space they're going to take up. And it's hard to include all the pieces I wanted to include. So if I can start with all of those cut apart pieces in front of me on the desk, I'm more likely to get most of them into the design rather than trying to add them later. So he's 9 in this photo, so I want number 9. That's Glitter Girl paper done. And I quite like this one here. The other one I was thinking about is this, but this has this cream edge to it, and I think the blue edge here is just going to be a better choice. This one is from Starshine. This cut apart and this one. Okay. So here, I need this tag here, I think. It wouldn't need to entirely be visible, so I might use just the top or just the bottom, but it could also be quite cool if the whole thing was visible. So we'll see what happens. I have a feeling the cityscape will disappear in the design, but sometimes I'm wrong about these things, so we'll find out. That's from Sparkle City. Then these film strips from my very first collection. The pretty much same design was then again in the next collection called True Stories, but in silver glitter. But in the first collection, just plain old printed paper, not a specialty paper. Now, this paper, it's a bold choice, Shimelle. It's a bold choice. So the Biscotti paper was in my True Stories collection, and it's a bit of a sad tale. So this was designed as a die-cut paper. So this should have all been perforated so you could punch it out. And something went wrong many years ago, and it shipped without the perforations. And when I first got my first sample, I just assumed mine was not perforated, and then everybody started saying, no, I bought it at a shop and mine wasn't perforated either, and it turned out none of them were perforated. Oh, sad times. I was so excited to have this paper because basically they're all designs that were made to fold together to give you dimension, and that didn't happen. So what I'm going to do this time is cut out this blue piece across here. And possibly, so this was made to be kind of, to all fold together, to be quite random things put together. But I might cut out some of them separately, but I know I want to use this one, so I'm going to start there. So even though it never ended up being exactly what I imagined, there's no reason for it to sit in my stash and not get used. I can cut it out and fold the pieces just like I would have it if it had been perforated. It's all right. We move on. Yeah. Okay, so that's from True Stories. That was my second collection because I originally wanted the first collection to be called Pretty Paper and the second collection to be called True Stories, because that's how I've defined scrapbooking for a long time. And I didn't know at the time that I wasn't allowed to name the first collection, but the second collection in my head was already called True Stories, like with those motifs and things, so I didn't want to change my mind. Okay, so I'm going to ink all of these things today in black. So I'm going to start by inking all of the pieces I've just cut out, and then make a big stack of layers with these and paper and stickers and thickers, all good fun things. Now, I don't want this to feel completely disconnected. So you'll see that in the layers behind the photo, I'm going to bring some of that back as well. And so there is a reason sometimes to use small pieces from a big sheet, because you might be using them elsewhere as well. I know sometimes if I just use that much off a 12 by 12 sheet, you'd be like, no, why? Why would you do it? It happens. Okay, so I want to start with that stripe right there, and that's going to go directly behind the photo like this. I'm wanting it to end in a colorful one and not the one that's like one shade off of black, so just bringing it up a little higher here, which means I'll need to trim a little bit of the peach at the bottom, but that's okay. Yes, you can use a trimmer for this if you prefer. I'm just old school and I like my scissors. Use what works for you. Okay. Teeny tiny bit around the edges. One thing to keep in mind, the biggest thing to keep in mind if you like layers, is that you cannot be afraid to cover things up. If you can't cover things up, you can't layer. So I know there's only a tiny little bit left around the edge. That's important. It's how it works. You cannot get the look of lots of little delicate layers if nothing is little or delicate. Yeah? So there we go. All right. So this piece, the idea is that across that, fold it on the diagonal, which is trickier than it might seem. Did I get it right? Hey, I did. Okay. Yeah, you fold on the line and then you fold back the other way. And you can play with the angles here to see which way you want things to go. But now it has that little bit of dimension. So these pieces, some of these pieces are smaller than others, and that's going to make them easier to work with. So this one's going to go right behind here. And then because I have ink things to start with, if I cut anything as I go, I have to come back and replace the ink essentially. Okay. And things like this piece can be made a bit smaller. This one I will do with a trimmer, and here's why. When I'm matting a photo, I have a visual line to follow. I don't have a visual line here, and I only have one chance to get it right. So I'll take my chances with my trimmer, even though sometimes I'm a little unpredictable. So that one's going to tuck right behind the photo. See, I knew it straight away. I'm gonna lose the city. So we'll save the city in case I can fit it in somewhere else, but I don't think I will. Bring that tag up at the top. What would happen if I extended this down the bottom? Don't know. Okay. That's not gonna work. I just can tell automatically that that piece is going to challenge me too much. It's going to force me to do something that I don't want to do. And here's why. Notice how these two I've automatically made smaller, and this one. All of the cut apart elements that I've included so far, I've made them much smaller than they were. And so in making this one be visible enough that you could see the whole sentiment, it's way bigger than anything else. It's going to overwhelm the balance. I want little and delicate, so I have to find another piece from Starshine. That's not the one. Okay, but can, however, find some more pieces that are going to work here. Okay, highly scientific measurement technique there. Again, I don't have a line to follow, so I'll use a trimmer. And I'll just come back to where I've marked and trim down to that box. That's from Field Trip. It has giant jungle leaves on the other side. And this is going to go behind here. And all of the things here so far have got different pieces in these colors, but I still have way more colors over here than here because I got more to do. I got more things to add. Now, same as over here. If I include a white base paper, I don't want it sitting right next to the background. So I have this paper, which I wanted to include this corner here, but I want another layer behind that so that it's not this one straight onto that one. So I better go ahead and get this in before I end up with too much. So we're going to go right in the middle there and there. The blue stars. This is one of the papers that's, it was in Field Trip, but they also kept this as what they call open stock paper, which means it's thinner, it's single-sided, and it's sold at some of the chain stores where they have like the big rack of different papers. So it's a little different to work with because it's thinner, single-sided paper, but also it's probably a lower price point. So if you needed bargain papers, then obviously that's going to be your friend. Okay. So I've got rainbow of stars behind there, but I'm going to want another border around that. Well, let's get the darker wood grain in here. So this is the one that's from Christmas Magic. So I've got a light and a dark wood grain together, but this border is going to be very small so that it's not too heavy with everything else, but still gives me the contrast between the two papers. That one you probably won't see the ink around the edges, but sometimes you do, so just get in the habit of always doing it that way. Okay, so papers I have left are all a very similar color scheme. B-side here is a pink, which would not be a bad idea. B-sides here are not two that I want to include. So thinking, let's go Hubert. I don't really want this paper next to that blue. They're close enough to look like I tried to match them, but they don't match. One is a blue and one is a blue-green, but it doesn't mean I can't use them together. I just want it further away. So instead of doing a whole box here, I'm going to do a smaller one that would only be the bottom half. This is also a great way to use scraps. I haven't started with scraps here because of the challenge I was setting myself, but you certainly could. I'm going to do a taller box from this pink one. That's from Go Now Go, and then we'll see about where this ledger from box of crayons should go. And Starshine is not here yet, so I need to keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be a piece of paper, it just has to be something from the collection. And I do have stickers and die cuts and all sorts from Starshine. So I'm not going to freak out that I couldn't get the paper in. We have more options. Okay, so this I do like next to the blue up here. So I'm going to take that to about there. I'm just deciding, should it go behind or to the side? I actually do quite like it to the side here, so that's where I'm going to go. And then that means I have this corner to work with here, and I just want it to be small. Remember, you have to be brave and cover things up, or the look does not work. Okay, now that's making me feel like I need something over here. Well, I've got one paper left. The trick is that, again, this is more green, and I don't want it to look like I tried to get it to match with that. So let's do a small piece of it and see where I can put it in that corner to make things work. So I can put it here as long as I then add an embellishment that gets tucked underneath there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take that top edge away, ink that. And that one can go here. Then I just need a piece that's going to tuck in there. So let's start looking at what might tuck in. We love a tucky. Okay, so keeping in mind I've got cameras, yellow, and feathers over here. And trying to decide, do I want to go with explodey text or do I want to go with a floral? I kind of feel like the florals and the feathers could work really well together. So this could then sit up here. And then I have something that separates the blue from the blue-green. Yeah. Now, I'd like to bring one of these and put it in a little box over here. It's not going to be the cameras because it's going to go against the white. So let's bring that yellow back in. Everything kind of comes sliding back onto the desk. Pick me, pick me. That side. There we go. Okay, I'm going to have a look now at what pieces from Starshine might come in next. Found something from Starshine that I think is a better shot. This little set of kind of like flare, but they're not metal. So they're not coated on the front and they don't have a metal backing or anything. They're just stickers. And I think this one could go here really, really well. In fact, I'm not even going to worry about it. Now, they have been in my stash for years. Are they still sticky? Not really. So I'll give it a little help. And add one here. Like this one that says Adventures, and like this one that has a little camera on it, or the blue star. I think either of those could work. So I've got some options, but I'm thinking one's going to go over here, one's going to go over here, one's going to come up here. But I've got one on there for now. Then I've also pulled out some die cuts. Now I know I still have my True Stories banner die cut that needs to go on here, but I have a variety of die cuts that I've also pulled out of the ephemera pack from Main Character Energy, which includes this floral here, same flower that's up there, and you can either cut it all apart or you could use this in the same way as that if you wanted to have it folded and overlapped. But what I was thinking is that if I pulled out all the flower die cuts that match that sticker, then I have lots of options for embellishment that is going to coordinate. And then I also wanted to bring in this bit of yellow, which is the same tones used in this floral, but just as a library style journaling card. So where is this gonna go? Keep wanting to bring it over here and have the yellow on the yellow. So what happens if I take this other yellow away? Yeah, because I want it to come down below this number 9 here. But I've got lots of lines here next to each other, so I need to be sure that I'm not making things too skew-if, or it'll make you want to kind of cross your eyes and look at it sideways to see if you can find a way to make it work. Okay. This banner needs to come and join the fun. Is it going to be underneath here, perhaps? So I was thinking underneath the photo mat, but on top of the film strip. What layers am I covering up there? The teal, that's okay. Teal is visible here. So I do actually want this to come up high enough that the photo is going to sit at the bottom edge there. So this whole box is going to be covered. That's fine. I know. You're like, does it even count if that's all you can see? Yes, it counts. I make the rules here. But if you're going to layer, you can't be afraid to cover stuff up. How do you get texture of layers? You add more things. So having this underneath there creates a very different texture, because you've now got pieces that are folded and lifted. I haven't used any pop dots yet. Okay. Now, let's have a look at other die cut pieces and where they might go. This is perforated, but I'm going to cut it apart. And then this can come up to the top here and be stapled on. Of course, you could just glue it if you want. I'm looking for ways to add different textures to all the layers. Staples, metal, that's a texture I have not included. Now I have. So then which one of these do I want to go with? I'm liking that blue star here to match up with the blue stars there. Again, the adhesive is going to need some help. Keeping in mind that that collection came out in 2015. Okay. Could I tuck in another flower with that? I sure can. So just a small single blossom. Tuck that behind these layers. So far, so good. Wanted to add in some of these little tickets. They're perforated. Take them apart like that. So I have all of my yellow up here, but none down here. So I'm going to bring one here. Now I'm going to do something that will make some of you scream. So I'm going to warn you. Okay, it's like a trigger warning for papercraft. I'm going to staple through the photo. If that freaks you out, look away and remember that it's not in your album. You don't have to do this. But I will also say, this is a digital photo. I have it backed up in more than one location, so I can print it again without trouble. Yeah. So it doesn't worry me. It's not, it's a precious photo in as much as I love it, but it's not a precious one single copy of this photo that I can never reprint again. Not at all. Okay. So I have that stapled on there. Then what I was thinking is that a little group of embellishments come over here. I'm not going to commit to it just yet, but this is what I'm thinking. And then or the red one. Oh, the red one looks nice there. Okay, so it needs to come up a little higher because this is going to then become a triangle, 1, 2, 3 of these circular embellishments. And because there's 3 of them, and they're the only circular elements and they're different texture, more prominent on the page, it means that you will see the triangle. It's not a hidden visual triangle where I'm subtly trying to direct you somewhere. No, it's more like, hello, here I am, I'm a triangle, and notice me. So that means that I want to pay careful attention to where I place all of those elements in case they end up too even. I would much prefer for them to like for the circle to be here a little higher than that one. Does that make sense? Hopefully. So these are going to go across here. And then this one is going to go a bit higher than the balloon. So now my triangle is there. Lovely. Like this be yourself sentiments. To punch that one out. Oh, and I just realized how even I then made this and this, but I think that works out quite well. I'm gonna have this open space here. Okay. These are good for stapling too. The tiny attacher will fit just in that space, but I've already stapled those 2 things. So I'm not going to staple this one. Going to tuck it underneath the wood grain here. Oh, maybe actually bring it over to where the pink is. Okay. Now one little photo is getting quite a big block now with all the different things that have been added. I'd like to add one of these over here. But actually, wouldn't need to be the die cut. Could also use one of the stickers. And I think that one works a little better for the storytelling here. So add a little bit of ink to this one. And I haven't used any pop dots yet. I was considering it here. I think actually, no, it's okay flat. There's so many different things going on that they're getting quite lifted without having to add pop dots, so that's okay. Do I want to tag in here? Yes, I do. I wasn't sure if that would be too much, but actually I do want something in between these 2 pieces here. And apparently this is what it is. So I haven't actually stuck this down. So I'm making a decision to bring this a little further down, but I think I am just about ready to stick it down. Trying to decide if I wanted more than half the tag visible or less than half the tag, and it's a tricky one. I'm going to try more, but I might pull it back. Okay, let's go ahead and stick this, and I think I'm going to decide to not have these be lined up. I'm going to bring this down so it's lower. Okay. I've made this lower and now I don't have room for the title here. Maybe I want it up higher then. That wasn't quite enough anyway with the various pieces that are here. Okay. So, title. I think what I'm going to do is put this word magic onto the photo and then use that to help me space it, because this word has descenders and uppercase. So it's got quite a lot of up and down to the script going on here. Also, take your time taking it off this backing paper. Don't rush. Script words, always harder to remove from backing paper. But if we make them too flimsy, then they're easier to pull off the paper, but also really easy to lose the script. So you just end up with this like curly line that comes apart in your hands. You don't want that. So we've got nice strong foam, but go slowly to not separate it. There we go. So if I add this to here, what am I looking at? That be yourself, just, I can't go here. This is causing trouble. We'll put you on somewhere later. Okay. If it's somewhere like this. So I've got a couple little things happening in these gaps. I kind of like to get rid of that corner in the middle of the G. I think I'm okay with the layers showing through the A, but having a corner in there was kind of disconcerting. Okay. So now, to get this in a place where that title is going to work, I just want a little space below the G to clear the bottom of the page. I think this has to come in closer. It's better. Okay. Then I can go back and finish this title. Now, you can do this whole title, There Is Magic in You, in gold, or you could mix other letters. So you could use the same title, but do different lettering here and here if you want. Or you can change the whole sentiment and just use one word, because these are all words that you can use later, either all in one title or in separate titles. So the idea being that even though the phrases may or may not be what you want, the individual words should work. So for example, you know that I'll be able to use the phrase a little bit dramatic on things in my stories, and I know that lots of you automatically saw that and thought of someone in your storytelling world, your family or your friendship group, who that's a great description for. But some of you may have looked at it and go, yeah, I don't actually hang out with anybody who's all that dramatic, kind of on the chill side. So you could use these in different ways. So you could have a little bit something else, and you could use the dramatic for different things. So you could tell a story where you needed to leave and have the title be dramatic exit, and you add exit in whatever other lettering you want, right? All sorts of different ways that you could use it. So there we are with this started, but I need to finish the title. Okay. Title is here, and I said I needed to put this back in. I've got all these ledgers here together, so I'm going to run this one on this side in between two of the 3 ledger papers. So that's going along that side there. Journaling is going to be in this space here, so I want to add in a few more little pieces. So I have cameras over here. I kind of want there to be a camera motif making its way over here. So I've got green camera or blue camera. Blue is probably the better color match to what I've already put down. So to work this one up to that corner, and then I don't have any words happening up here, so that would be a good place to add something up there. Kind of like this sentiment to kind of go with be yourself, be brave, but is it going to fit? Maybe they both go here on the side. That gives me this little space that then will feel like it needs something. So why don't I bring in a little sunshine piece. And some little gold stars. 1, 2, actually needs to be turned so it's not sitting on its side. 3. It's kind of a wider confetti triangle there. Now there's quite a few stars on the sheet, so I can go ahead and make more star pieces, little spots that have that repeating. So I can bring one down here, one next to there, which means one needs to kind of come either here or here. I don't want this to feel like it's going too far left, or this wording will then run into the title even without a word in the middle. So I want to make sure that gap stays a gap. So instead, I'll take this next star. Whoops, come on. There we go. And keep it closer. And then I have 1, 2, 3. Yes, that's correct. So I've got 3 to put in another spot, so I could either bring it down into the title, but this is going to be very close to that. So I think bring it up to this top corner. And we can have 1 between the sticker and the tab there. 1 to this side here. And the last one, this side of the camera, I reckon. So it's a little bit wider set triangle. Yeah, so 9 gold star stickers. Give yourself a gold star. Give yourself 9 of them. Why not? Okay. Then this needs a little tidying up because the perforated edge goes over the side. Ooh, that is starting to feel very heavy on that background sheet. So keep in mind that you'll need to be careful sometimes and not have things bend out of place. Using these branding strips, I'm going to bring a little bit of this color into the top here. And just tuck it behind these pieces here. Just making the pink, this pattern, feel a little bit more like it belongs by having a little bit more pink. Thinking about this one too, but I'm not quite sure that there's a place that's wide enough for the whole phrase. So not that one today, that's okay. Now, pieces with other textures. Well, let's have a look at the thickers because there's a lot of confetti in here too. And I have more stars, but they look different. So I can either have gold glitter stars or I can have these colorful kind of doodled type stars. So I can bring these into slightly different spots. So for example, there's no gold stars in this group. Oh, but maybe I don't want the blue one there. Maybe I want this blue one to come up above there. And I want one in this space. I just don't want it to be blue. So what colors do I have? Let's go with this orange one. And I've got a green. Quite like to put a little heart at the end of the title here, and I've got that in both stickers. And hearts here are gold again. If I got a just gold, yeah, gold glitter one. And I could put here. Oh, it's too big. It needs to be smaller than that. Hold on, we have other options. I think that's the same size there, yeah. But I've got puffy and enamel hearts. And I've got gold glitter in them. See, that looks a little too small. So I think maybe the puffy is the happy medium. So we've got red, green, pink, and purple. Maybe I bring that pink one in down here. And that one fits right inside that gap. So this little puffy going in there. That says love this. That little puffy going there. Can I do one? Oh, I have this same blue camera in a puffy. That might fit in here nicely. Yeah. Okay. I know I've got this spot to deal with, and I've got journaling to add in. I think time for journaling and then go from there. Journaling all the way across here, which I've done in gray pen. That's a Unipin Fine Line by the Mitsubishi Pencil Company. They come in a set of all different shades of gray, I believe, if I remember which set I bought that in. But I will say, if you like gray writing and you're always struggling to find a gray pen, don't underestimate that you can write in pencil. It often looks the same, and some people look at my layouts with gray pen and assume it's pencil. There's no reason why it can't be. So that's all right. Now, for this center up here, I'm going to use the middle of one of the enamel dots. Maybe. There we go. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of the gold glitter to where the foam stars are. So I've got one here. We'll put a little bit there, and then the other one was over here. Keep in mind, you get 2 sheets, so if you use the same shapes and you thought, oh no, there's only 4, there's not. So and straight away go to the second sheet in the pack and add them in here. Okay, which then means my final finishing touch is some gold mist. I'm still using my last bottle of gold Color Shine from Heidi Swap. Heidi, I'm ready for you to bring out more because I have like half a jar left. And I think I'm one of the last people who still has some left. There we go. Right, so we're going to make that one into a circle. Bring this up to the top a little bit. Only the fine dots over the top of the layers. Any larger dots I want to the side, not on top of the layers, just so that I don't end up with something covering like a massive part, so that this tiny pieces still read as the shapes that they're meant to be. Anywhere I've got a gap like this is going to feel a little disconnected, but the gold will help bring it all back together. There we go, all finished. Thank you so much for joining me to see all of the collections on one layout. So I'm just gonna go through and identify where every collection is. So that's my first collection, the Shimelle collection. This piece here is from True Stories. Next came Christmas Magic, which is the dark matte there. I know you're gonna say that's cheating, but it's a Christmas collection. Let me off the hook. Then we went to Starshine, which has these 3 little round embellishments. After that came Go Now Go, which is this yellow paper here, but also the pink pattern here. After Go Now Go came Glitter Girl, and Glitter Girl is hiding where? These letter stickers are from the sticker book that went with Glitter Girl, and the Glitter Girl paper that, oh, it's this one. That's why it's throwing me off. I'm looking for one of these big mats. It's this one. The number 9 on a big cut apart of numbers. After Glitter Girl came Box of Crayons, which is this ledger here. It's getting hard, it's getting hard. Then after Box of Crayons came Sparkle City, which is this one here. Then Head in the Clouds, this one here. Oh, this yellow is Go Now Go too. Head in the Clouds. Field Trip, which is the turquoise and the stars. Never Grow Up are these feathers. Also, this alpha and this alpha, both from Head in the Clouds. This from the hashtag sticker book, which was mostly Glitter Girl stuff. And then that brings us up to the current collection, Main Character Energy. This stripe, these stickers, these tags, the yellow floral, all of this, the big gold glitter, these pieces over here, these pieces in here. Yeah! And the background rainbow ledger. All from Main Character Energy. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to give it a thumbs up, that would be super duper awesome. Thank you for your support. And if you want to find where you can buy Main Character Energy, you can find affiliate links in the video description, as well as just searching for it at any shop that you tend to shop for scrapbooking supplies at. You can ask for it if they don't have it. If you don't see it, say, hey, can you get main character energy from Shimelle and American Crafts? I would love to craft with it and see what happens. Yeah, if you want to subscribe and see more with this, that would be fabulous because there'll be more layouts to come big time. Also, I live stream on this channel twice a week, but if you only watch the edited videos, you might not see the live streams because YouTube puts them in their own little tab called Live. So if you click over to Live, you'll see that I'm live pretty much every Monday and Friday. And you can watch them on the replay if they're not at a good time for you. It's UK time, 1:30 on a Monday, 10 a.m. on a 1:30 in the afternoon, 1:30 in the morning, 1:30 in the afternoon on a Monday, 10 a.m. That's 10 in the morning on a Friday, and that's all UK time, so you can adjust to your time zone. Thank you so much. Here's the original sketch. Here's the final page, and here's me. Thanks so much. I'll see you soon. Bye.